Jacob Masanso joins us now from Uganda. Jacob is an education consortium manager for Save the Children in South Sudan. And Jacob, according to the report, South Sudan, the country that you're responsible for, is categorized as extreme risk. It's the worst possible categorization, along with Nigeria, Somalia, Afghanistan, Sudan, Mali, and Libya. Tell us about the problems that are specific to South Sudan.
Thank you so much. One thing I would like to highlight is that South Sudan, just like many other countries, was affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, which led to the closure of all schools. However, one thing that is different from South Sudan, that makes it different from other countries, is that prior to the outbreak of COVID-19, the South Sudan education system was already on its knees, struggling with high number of out-of-school children, estimated at 2.2 million by then, having limited qualified teachers, limited school infrastructure, with most of the children studying under the trees or open spaces. Last year, South Sudan experienced the highest level of floodings in many years, and this affected the access to education, with over 430 school infrastructure destroyed, some of them occupied by internally displaced persons as a result of the flooding and violence in some cases. So this compounded, COVID-19 only compounded the already bad situation.
And does the government of the country bear any responsibility here, or is it almost impossible? Are the problems so severe that it's almost impossible for the government to do everything on its own?
Well, the government is taking efforts and measures to ensure that children have access to education. However, one thing we need to acknowledge is that South Sudan has been in a protracted crisis. And then the impact of COVID-19 on the economy has also had a huge bearing on the revenues, as well as the decline in the oil revenues. At this point, South Sudan really needs support from the international community now than ever before to fill the financing gap in education.
How much help are you getting for your responsibility regarding South Sudan? I'm sure that every country that gives money to causes like this understands that education leads to greater security. It improves standards of living, because the more educated someone is, the better the job they can get, the more they understand how they can affect their own immediate environment in terms of also security. When we're talking about South Sudan, we're talking about conflict as well, of course.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's one thing that we all need to acknowledge, is that education contributes to long-term sustainability of peace. If, for instance, the 2.8 children who are out of school currently, if they are not supported to access education, in the few years to come, we are going to have a pool of unemployed youth who are disgruntled, who will provide actually safe pool from which non-state armed actors would actually recruit from. So it's either now or never. Otherwise, if the issue of out-of-school children isn't attended to, we are likely going to see more conflict, because we will have so many youth that are unemployed and not productive. And this won't be good, not only for South Sudan, but also countries within the region. If children have access to education, that means that in future they will be productive, they will be more responsible, and that will contribute to peace, but also economic development of their country. So there is really need for urgent action to make sure that we get all children who are out of school back in school. Analysis that we did recently, we just tried to compare the number of children who were in school before COVID-19 and those that have come back to school after schools reopened in May. We realized that more children who were formerly in school are yet to come back to school, leave alone the 2.2 million who were out of school before COVID-19. This therefore calls for urgent efforts, urgent actions from both the government and the international community.
And let's hope it happens. Jacob, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much indeed. Jacob Masanso from Save the Children, speaking to us from Uganda.